Today on the CTV News at 5, Alberta's drunk driving laws are about to become the toughest in the country. Plus, construction is now underway on a major road extension in North Lethbridge.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. The July long weekend is finally here, and road safety is always a concern when we kick off a long weekend. This Canada Day weekend, Alberta will debut its tougher penalties for impaired drivers. And police say the first phase of the new legislation comes at a very significant time. Alicia Fieldberg reports.
Alberta check stop. Okay. Any liquor in the vehicle this evening?
It's last call for Alberta's current drunk driving rules. Starting Canada Day, criminally impaired drivers will face tougher consequences. New legislation aims at creating safer roads by making Albertans take responsibility for their actions behind the wheel.
What the province has found that just merely by increasing fines or adding demerits to driving offences is not an absolutely positive way to get people to change their behaviours.
Drivers with a blood alcohol level over 0.08 will still be charged under the criminal code. Starting July 1st, they'll also face immediate license suspension until the charge is resolved. On top of that, police will seize their vehicle and keep it for 3 to 7 days. Convicted drivers will need to use an ignition interlock device for at least a year. This is the first phase in what police are calling one of the toughest drunk driving legislations in the country. The second phase will focus on drivers with a blood alcohol level between 0.05 and 0.08. It takes effect September 1st.
Even when you're under the 0.8 limit, you are still possibly impaired, and your impairment levels are such that your driving may be impaired also, and you could subsequently have a higher risk of getting into a crash, injuring yourself or another innocent person.
Officers say long weekends are notorious for impaired driving incidents and hope the timing of the new legislation has significant results.
Hopefully by having this introduced at this time, our roads for this long weekend are going to be much safer. We're not going to have the fatalities or serious collisions as a result of drinking and driving.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, Lethbridge.
For a full breakdown of the legislation changes, go to knowthelimits.ca. Meanwhile, alcohol and speed are believed to have been factors in an early morning rollover just west of Medicine Hat. Police were called to Highway 3 south of the South Boundary Road around 4:30 this morning. Officers say 2 men were thrown from a truck. One of them, a 22-year-old Medicine Hat man, was airlifted to Calgary Hospital in critical condition. The driver, a 21-year-old Medicine Hat man, suffered minor injuries. Meanwhile, a 17-year-old female was taken to Medicine Hat Hospital with undetermined injuries. No other details have been released. We're told, though, that several alcohol-related driving charges are pending against the driver. And there was a close call for a Lethbridge motorcycle policeman today. The officer was following a truck westbound on Highway 3 between Coaldale and Lethbridge when a bedliner blew out of the truck bed and onto the path of the motorcycle. The police officer managed to recover without serious injuries or a serious crash. There was minor damage, though, to the side of the brand new motorcycle. The officer was checked out at the scene by Coaldale EMS and was lucky enough to be able to drive away. The traffic response unit introduced its 2 new motorbikes about 2 weeks ago. Plans to open a private collision reporting centre in Lethbridge are moving ahead. The collision centre will be located at the police station, but will be operated by an Ontario company, Accident Support Service International. Now, the company is currently developing a memorandum of understanding with both the city, insurance companies, and local businesses to make sure the agreement meets the requirements of legislation and that everyone receives good service. Police Chief Tom McKenzie says it's hoped the centre will free up police officers and in many cases reduce the wait time for people reporting minor accidents.
This should expedite that front counter service. We're going to have people that they're just focused totally on that. They're not dealing with inquiries at the counter, so our front desk constables and the people that are working in our front desk right now are managing every question and concern that comes in. They can now simply divert people over to the accident reporting centre where they'll be dealt with very quickly and effectively and in an efficient manner.
Lethbridge Regional Police will be the first police agency in Alberta to operate a private reporting centre. Oh, Canada, our Dory roster, what a great long weekend forecast we now have in store.
Yeah, we really do, Jackie. We're still looking at cloudy skies for Canada Day, but a much drier forecast than we saw 48 hours ago. We were looking at that shower activity. Not to say some areas in Alberta aren't going to get showers, because they certainly are, but it looks like we have that little bit of protection with that area of high pressure dominating our weather forecast for much of the weekend. I'll have details coming up in a couple of minutes.
And I hope you get some good rest this weekend too,
Oh,
Dory.
yeah.
Oh. Well, a high stream flow advisory remains in effect for both southern Alberta and southern BC rivers just as we head into the July long weekend. High stream flow advisories remain in place for the Oldman River downstream of Lethbridge and the South Saskatchewan River in Medicine Hat, as well as the Bow River, both up and downstream of Calgary. In southeastern BC, high stream flow advisories remain in place as well for the East Kootenay, including the Elk River, rivers in the West Kootenay, Upper Columbia region, and the Kicking Horse River. Now, if you're planning on camping this weekend and don't have a campsite already, you could be out of luck. According to Alberta Parks, across southern Alberta, there are only a handful of open sites left. The closure of some campgrounds in BC due to flooding has made camping space even more precious here. You can check campsite availabilities on albertaparks.ca. Construction is now underway on a major road extension in North Lethbridge. The project will extend Scenic Drive to handle traffic from growing subdivisions like Legacy Ridge, the Uplands, and Sharing Business Park. Some local residents, though, are concerned that the project will create noise and impact their view. Others say it's needed to reduce traffic congestion in nearby streets. Terry Vogt reports.
This $20 million project will extend Scenic Drive 1.7 kilometers, providing downtown and South Lethbridge access to residents in Legacy Ridge, the Uplands, and future developments that are planned north of Hardyville.
This particular project, the North Scenic Drive extension, has been in the works for a long time. So once you get approval of the grant, you want to get going, and that's why we're starting now, and hopefully we will have the project finished in the not too distant future.
The sod turning was only symbolic. Construction has already started, with backfilling of coulees and removal and relocation of nearly a dozen homes.
The concrete foundation that they're crushing now, I did about 30 years ago.
Northside resident Oliver Bollier and his wife have been keeping a close eye on the construction process. Oliver's a supporter of the project, even though the new road will go right past his backyard.
The traffic will flow a lot better. It'll relieve the Stafford Drive, and it'll be good for Upland, Legacy. They'll be able to move out from there and move right into downtown.
The project does have its critics. Some residents are concerned about traffic noise and the impact on their river valley view, but others say it likely won't have any significant effect on their lives.
As long as we have our park there, I don't really because it's fenced off there right now, so it's not like we go too much into the coulees anyway. And then the shooting range is just behind us too, so not that we venture out that far there. So
we've actually redesigned the road to be a little bit lower. It'll be a little bit quieter. So by lowering it down as much as possible, then we've minimized the concerns from the residential neighborhood that's right beside the roadway.
The Scenic Drive North extension is scheduled to be completed by the end of 2013. Right now they're only building 2 lanes, but they'll eventually expand it to 4. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
City transportation officials say once the roadway is built, there should be a significant traffic reduction on other routes like Stafford Drive and 9th Avenue North. The arts community got an up-close look at the progress on the new Performing Arts Centre today. The $21 million project is located just east of Galt Gardens in downtown Lethbridge, and it will serve as a gathering place for the arts community and also become a new off-campus home for the University Conservatory of Music for the U of L. Officials say construction crews are making good progress.
Well, we're approximately halfway in the construction process. It looks right now like it's a little further on, but there's a lot more to go on in the building envelope. They'll start putting some of the exterior finishes on within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would imagine. And most of the studding is up on the inside, but it'll start finishing off there pretty soon. So we're on time for a January completion.
It's very exciting to see what's transpiring, and every time I drive by, it's exciting to see that more is done. With the completion of this project, the Community Arts Centre, it's going to mean that we've come 2/3 of the way towards our goal of having a real cultural arts corridor in downtown Lethbridge.
The public will also have access to programming space for community events and arts education as well. A local pet store is hoping to start a trend by saying goodbye to selling animals. Homes Alive Pet Center will be working with animal rescue organizations to connect people to pets that need homes. Staff say this will give them more time to provide service and value for customers and their pets. The change frees up about 30% of the store, where Homes Alive will now offer more selection for pet owners. And last fall, the company stopped selling dogs. They think moving away from selling pets altogether could start a trend with other pet centers.
There's thousands of pets that are out there in the market right now, whether it's rescues and shelters or out of people's homes. There's so many different ways that people can get pets, and our job now is to help them have the best experience with their pets.
Homes Alive staff say they plan to bring in rescue animals from time to time so customers looking to adopt can meet some of the potential adoptees. Alberta's oldest theatre is celebrating its 100th birthday today. Nestled in Fort Macleod's historic Main Street, the Empress Theatre has been a prominent performing arts centre since 1912. There have been a few updates, but most of the theatre hasn't changed at all. It still uses the original seating. Free historic tours of the resource will be running throughout the weekend. A performance based on the history of the building premieres tonight at 7 o'clock. The Stage That Made Us combines live theatre, cinema, and music. It runs throughout July. And this Sunday, Canada turns 145 years old. And Lethbridge is celebrating in style. Henderson Lake Park will once again be the hub of activities with the Red Dress Run starting at 10 a.m. Then the main stage and other entertainment gets underway at noon, including kids karaoke, petting zoos, astro jumps, kayak and dragon boat demonstrations, of course fireworks at 11 p.m. The party in the park kicks off at the Galt Gardens around 10 a.m. and that includes live music, monster murals and lots of great food. Spitz Stadium also has lots of activities going on, starting with a pancake breakfast at 8 a.m. Then the Bulls play a doubleheader against Edmonton. First pitch, 2:05 p.m. You can catch the fireworks from the stadium as well. And of course, for Whoop Up, the Galt Museum, Southern Alberta Art Gallery, and Nikki-Yoko Japanese Gardens will be open with lots of activities as well. The wife of former Alberta Premier Ralph Klein says her family is grateful and honored that her husband will be receiving the Order of Canada. In a statement released today, Colleen Klein writes, "While words are difficult, his face brightened and he smiled. Ralph is ailing now, but will always remain strong and vibrant in the hearts and minds of Albertans." Last year, Klein's family revealed that he is suffering from a progressive form of dementia. Klein was mayor of Calgary in the 80s and served as premier of Alberta from 1992 to 2006. His controversial comments and bold spending cuts helped shape the modern-day Alberta. Time now for a look at how the markets wrapped up the week.